are these people?
So last week, we talked about the meeting between Ramaphosa and Trump. We brought a lovely article from Hussein Husseini about not appeasing the fucking empire. I don't know why he has to explain that to people. To me, that seems kind of like, rule number one. But I found another article, and this is, I don't know if you know who this is. This is Malema, head of the IFF. I think we brought one of them before, but Trump brought him last week doing the Kill the Boar song that everyone loves here. But we're going to get into it. So I brought this article from George Hazim over at Substack. And he says, courtesy over courage, Gaza pays the price. So kind of in a similar venue. So he writes, every American who did or didn't watch Trump's ambush of South African President Cyril Ramaphosa at the White House last week should be embarrassed. Trump outdid his usual uncivil and ignorant self. For non-Americans, it was cringeworthy, not because of any intellectual mismatch, but because of what Ramaphosa allowed Trump to get away with. Politeness and a desire not to offend while being a guest in someone else's home was Ramaphosa's apparent approach. And y'all gotta quit that shit. I'm tired of that shit.
Right.
Ugh. Trump, meanwhile, behaved like a Neanderthal, a caveman, meandering and masquerading as a world leader. Ramaphosa's parents clearly raised him well, but there comes a time when being a guest doesn't mean remaining silent while being disrespected. Respect is a two-way street. Trump's inglorious performance is a warning to world leaders. Politeness in the face of distortion enables dangerous narratives. Appeasement, no matter how diplomatic, allows propaganda to go unchallenged, which was Sam Husseini's bit as well. So the meeting, framed by the Trump admin as a chance to strengthen bilateral ties, whatever that means, became a moment of international discomfort for anyone who remembers Trump's reckless comments about South Africa during his first term. In 2018, Trump tweeted a baseless accusation, citing a Fox News segment claiming the South American government was seizing land from white farmers and that there was large-scale killing of white farmers and unfounded claims steeped in white supremacist paranoia. At the time, the South African government swiftly rebuked him, calling him misinformed, but now, face-to-face with the architect of that lie, Ramaphosa said nothing. The silence was more than diplomatic restraint, it was complicity by omission. Trump's portrayal of South Africa as a place of reverse racism and violent land grabs isn't just a lie, it's part of a wider political strategy. Vilify black and brown populations, distort foreign crises, and portray justice movements as threats to the established order. So here is Africa Stream, who reminds us that Malema slams U.S. politics. They wouldn't dare in my presence. So, in the video we're about to watch, economic freedom fighters, the EFF leader Julius Malema, came out at U.S. President Trump following a live telecast of Trump's confrontation with Ramaphosa at the White House. Trump showed decontextualized videos of Malema and accused him of inciting violence against white farmers, an assertion based on the long-refuted white genocide conspiracy theory. Malema retaliated against Trump and Ramaphosa, calling them cowards, liars, and disrespectful. So, we'll just watch this video, shall we? And see what he says.
I will never be intimidated by America. I will never be intimidated by Donald Trump. They were speaking about me in that meeting at White House. If they were not gossiping about me, they should have called me into that meeting. I would have answered everything that Donald Trump wanted from us. If they are not scared of me, call me into that meeting. That nonsense that Trump did in America, he will never do that nonsense in my presence, because I will confront him here and there with the facts.
Throw them bows.
Ramaphosa could not present the facts in front of Donald Trump. You've got a coward president. He left here. Ariana, he won't be bullied. When he arrived there, he was shaking. Another president scared of another president.
Any thoughts?
Well, even if he didn't want to, Ramaphosa didn't want to get into that issue with the farmers or whatever, he could have brought up Gaza.
Uh-huh.
He should have brought up Gaza in the midst of that. And like, you know, but he didn't. Like, and look, here's the thing, and I more than understand this as a Black person. Because we tend to be viewed as vile and loud and uncivilized coofs often. And
they've never met my family, have they?
Right. And and I get, like, yes, like when you're in the midst of adversity, like even I, to a point, was told, yes, you have to be polite. You
Kill
gotta
them with
listen
kindness,
to blah, blah, blah,
all that jazz.
kindness. But but I think when I was a child, I think that was when, especially from my mom, I got more of those lessons, which makes sense. But I think as you get older, and I think at this point, getting a little more annoyed with people anyway, I feel there is a balance to, like, you don't have to go off in a way that Trump would have done, like belligerent and just being an idiot. But I think there is a balance of you being able to speak into truth, as Sam was saying, so that you do not allow that propaganda to kind of fester in the social media sphere. But at the same time, you can kind of show your power, more importantly. Like, especially for someone like Trump who only respects power. So, even if he wasn't going to listen to you, you're still representing your country. And basically, Ramaphosa, and I think I mentioned this last week, he came off like a bitch. For all intents and purposes, I'm going to say the word that Sam will not. Like, he came off like a bitch. Like, no, because he should have been able to clap back and not scream at him, but kind of make the case as to, and I think he was trying to do, and I'll be a little bit fair. He was trying to do that, but then Trump was doing his thing, whatever. But I felt like he could have came at him a little stronger and a little more fervent in the power that he holds as president of South Africa, but also given what they're doing or trying to do with the ICJ regarding Gaza. If anything, they have the higher playing field here. So, look, I'm petty as hell in this case. I would have brought that up. Like, you're talking about me, and you're talking about my country as far as farmers. You're talking about a country that you're allowing to bring bombs into, you're complicit in sending bombs to Palestine, and you're not even willing to arrest their president. So what say you? What's good? Like,
yeah, what's that quote about, like, polite women never make history, that kind of thing?
Right.
So
right. And I think right now, especially, like, if it were Biden, sure, I can maybe agree, perhaps. But this is Trump. Like, Trump seems to respect you more if you clap back at him. So yeah, why understand what Ramaphosa was doing? He probably just didn't want to be bothered with Trump any longer than he needed to be.
Yeah.
Which, again, I more than understand. But given your position, I felt, like, he should have been able to stand up to Trump a little bit more than he did. Which, he just kind of came off like a chump.
Yep. So the truth is even more complex. South Africa's post-apartheid land reform program, while slow and often flawed, has never included the wholesale seizure of white-owned farms. The murder rate among white farmers is lower than that of the general population, yet Trump's narrative has taken hold among far-right groups in the US and globally, fueling the white genocide conspiracy theory. Ramaphosa, who has cultivated a reputation as a pragmatic statesman, had a unique chance to correct this falsehood in Trump's presence. More importantly, he had the opportunity to call out Trump's hypocrisy, particularly in light of the U.S. role in the ongoing genocide in Gaza. While Trump falsely accused South Africa of targeting white farmers, his own administration and now his ongoing political influence has emboldened Israeli aggression in Gaza under the banner of self-defense. His first term saw the U.S. Embassy move to Jerusalem, UNRWA funding cut, and a green light given to Israeli settlements in the West Bank. Today, his allies continue to deny or dismiss the mass civilian deaths in Gaza, where entire neighborhoods have been leveled, hospitals bombed, and more than 200,000 Palestinians killed. This is more than a double standard. It's a grotesque example of how imperial narratives operate. Victims are vilified, aggressors are absolved, and any criticism is dismissed as anti-Semitic, anti-American, or extremist. Ramaphosa, who has rightly led South Africa's case against Israel at the ICJ, should have used this meeting to expose that hypocrisy. Trump's attacks on South Africa weren't just ignorant, they were projection. Trump's inability to recall history, whether about apartheid, American slavery, or colonialism, isn't accidental, it's political. His worldview depends on erasing context, simplifying conflicts into black and white binaries, and always casting the Western world as the besieged victim. Leaders who engage with Trump without challenging these distortions help launder them. As someone who came of age in the anti-apartheid movement and who governs a country still navigating the trauma of racial injustice, Ramaphosa had every reason to push back, not with hostility, although, I wouldn't blame him, but with historical clarity. He could have reminded Trump of America's complicity in apartheid through Cold War alliances and trade. He could have clarified that land reform is justice delayed, not revenge. He could have connected Trump's 2018 falsehoods with the lies now being weaponized against Palestinians. Instead, Ramaphosa chose the safest path: diplomacy over truth, optics over courage, and while diplomacy often requires restraint, this was a moment that called for moral leadership.
Correct.
The lesson isn't just for Ramaphosa, it's for every world leader preparing to visit the White House again. When standing opposite a man who distorts reality to serve power, silence is not neutral, it's an endorsement. Ramaphosa's...
Just one thing.
Go ahead.
Pause for a second. I wouldn't argue just for leaders, but for us in general.
For sure.
Especially for us in media. And I think this is kind of why we do this.
Yeah.
Like, we want to be able to kind of say, no, this is wrong, and this is why. Or focus on people that say, no, this is wrong, and this is why. So really, this is a call for all of us.
Yeah.
Like, in the sense of when you see, and especially now, given all the misinformation that's out there, like, you have to be prepared to actually stand up and say, no, you're wrong. And I can tell you why you're wrong. And again, you don't have to be a dick about it, but you need to be able to as bravely as you can share the truth. And I understand, given depending on what that is, that can mean your life, especially now. But again, as Sam said, it's a matter of moral clarity and leadership. Like, the truth will eventually ring out, even though, like, you may be hated for it in the short term. But it still has to be said, regardless of how uncomfortable it can be. So no, I feel like this is a lesson really for everybody, but I think especially among our colleagues in the space who say that they're trying to do the same thing in terms of, bring truth. So
So Ramaphosa's failure to confront Trump was, in my opinion, cowardice and also a cautionary tale, because when leaders remain polite in the face of lies and injustice, whether in defense of their own people or in solidarity with others, they risk becoming part of the machinery that sustains oppression. So,
as they say in the real world back in the day, it's time to stop being polite.
Yeah.
And start getting real.
It's fucking keeping it real, it goes wrong. So here's some more from Malema, who had plenty to say on this. So I'll let him speak. I honestly think, dude, Trump bringing that guy is the best. He's going to get so much press for that. Like, that might push him into power in this next election. So we'll see.
Probably.
Hold on. Hold on. I got you. Don't worry. I got you.
America must never tell us what to do. The same United States, which is furious at being cut off from the riches of Burkina Faso, cannot tell us what to do. We stand with Captain Traore. We stand with Traore because we know that Traore stands for the unity of Africa. We are Traore, and Traore is all of us. If they kill Traore, you must know they would have created another wound in the continent of Africa. We must defend him the same way we defend the unity of Africa. We must defend China for defying the USA and telling the USA to go to hell.
Wish they
because
would do
they
more.
don't understand how the tariffs works. Donald Trump is an enemy of himself and all of us. And he must know the EFF is not scared of him. The EFF is not scared of Israel. The EFF is not scared of Morocco. The EFF is not scared of the imperialist forces. The EFF will stand on the side of the people of DRC, the people of Sudan, and the people of Sahrawi.
Thanks, Minpress, for that. I think I got one more though. Here we go. Is it gonna? There it goes. Cool.
Do you know there are some South Africans, and let us be blunt, many white South Africans who fear Julius Malema? Some of them have said to me, if Malema gets to power or close to power, I will leave this country. Do you welcome their fear, or do you want to find ways to overcome their fear?
I don't welcome their fear. Stephen, they said that about Mandela. The most celebrated Mandela. You're talking about me. They said if Mandela, a prisoner, becomes the president, who will live in this country. And they left. I was in the Vaal River the other day, looking at some of the houses that whites abandoned in 1994 when Mandela became a president. They are not scared of Julius Malema. They are scared of an independent black man who's not controlled by any white person, who's not controlled by London.
Funny how that works.
Right.
Anyway, but shout out to that dude. Although I would be leery of anyone wanting power. That's just me. But, you know, try to keep that guy in the straight and narrow, and hopefully he doesn't get iced, you know? So protect yourself at all times, sir. But just to finish out, history won't just remember the lies that were told. It will remember who stood up to them and who didn't. So keep that shit in mind. Anything you got to add, Care Bear?
No, I mean, it's already been said. I think once again, it's just, I think, a good reminder of why we're here and why we do this. And it's not, you know, even like certain stories that, and we talk, you talk about this all the time. It's like there are certain stories even in our space that become viral or popular that everyone and their mother covers, and sometimes you have to wonder, why is the story getting all the traction versus like other stories that should be that don't? And you know, and I think even here we have to be careful as who's pushing certain narratives, or certain people who gets exclusives when no one else does. You know, like there is, even in our space, there's propaganda that is trying to be pushed, and so we need to be very careful of, I think generally we are trying to be very careful in who we trust to pull like our stories from every week generally. But then the idea is, it's like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you and I'm speaking for us in independent media, like, what's our thesis of being in the space? And if
Right.
it's, and I think for me, it gets hard because I have to remind myself every week.
Who are these people?
Oh, thank you, Sean.
Appreciate you, dog.
Like, I have to remind myself every week of why I do this, because it gets hard. And I basically bitch to you about this every week, because it's like, it's just so hard, like there's so much truth that needs to be shared. And I feel like at times, even in our space, that we fall short of it because, as we keep saying, the algorithm does not favor stories like these. The algorithm favors like the more sensational stories that are going to get a lot of traction because YouTube values their ad base that would like those ad money in order, to keep YouTube going. But for you, in order to get like literally cents of the dollar from YouTube at the end. So, but again, it's a lesson that the truth must be said even when it hurts or when it is tough. And you sitting idly by while you allow others to spread lies and the truth and you're complicit at that, like, we're not at a place right now where we're able to stand still and allow propaganda to fester. Like, we have to stand on our word and in the truth that, fortunately, we have journalists like Sam who are able to do that. But we have to take it upon ourselves to do the same thing. So yeah, I think it's a lesson for all of us, just and I think a reminder to, don't allow people to spread that misinformation when you know better. Like, there's a way that you can deliver it that you don't necessarily have to be antagonistic to them, but it has to be said. And again, Ramaphosa did not do that well. And there could have been a lot more that he could have said that honestly he should have said, and he probably would have gone viral for, like, if you're thinking of it, that he would have gone viral for it. But the only reason why that clip went viral was because Trump was acting like a jackass. Like, how much more viral would Ramaphosa would have been if he said, "You're shit on Gaza. You're shit on this issue.
Right.
You don't know shit about our history. You don't know shit about your history. God damn it." Like, like, he had he was probably the one in control, and he was the one that acted like a pussy. So, just in a means of being polite, he didn't want to ruffle his feathers. That's my guess. So he just kind of kept quiet. But given his position, he shouldn't have.
Agreed.
So,
and think of
that's
how
what we're
viral
saying.
you could have gone if you smacked that motherfucker in the face. Just saying. Would have went pretty far. But I would not condone violence normally, but I feel like it's justified. Isn't that what they say? Isn't that how they do this? Anyway, talking about this is why we're demonetized on YouTube. So if you want to appreciate us with some monetary value, you can scan that QR code, go to ko-fi.com/indienewsnetwork, or links are in the description as well. But if you can't do that because you're one of the poors like ourselves, just do the algorithm stuff. Like and subscribe. Share the video. It's the only way we meet new people. So please share. Leave a comment. Allegedly, that helps, the video get more views. But otherwise, thanks for watching.